My name is Kate Hale, and today I will be presenting my song lyric analysis over Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire. I personally am someone who loves the oldies, so I chose a song from that era of music. This song sparked controversy during its time, and of course it is The Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire. This song hit too close to home when it was released in 1965, which this year was marked by political movements and events that shaped our country's history as we know it today. From the very beginning of the song, it is filled with controversy. The first words are "the Eastern world, it is exploding," violence flaring, and bullets loading. This is addressing the Vietnam War. Another part says, "You're old enough to kill, but not for voting." This was especially provocative at the time. It was pointing out that men were allowed to be in the army at the age of 18, yet we weren't allowed to vote until we were 21. This made this song banned across numerous radio stations, and it became #1 on Billboard chart by September 1965. The next line says, "You don't believe in war, but watch that gun you're toting." That criticizes peace movements during the time, saying that even those who advocated for peace still carried guns for protection because that was a necessity of the time. He also references the Bible, specifically the Jordan River, which was where Jesus was baptized, and many other biblical events happened. He says, "Even the Jordan River has bodies floating." This symbolizes the loss of innocence and sacredness of this river, and how war has affected every part of our world. Even holy places have been corrupted by the violence. Next is when the song's title comes to play. It's asking, "You don't believe we're on the eve of destruction?" This emphasizes an impending sense of disaster. Like Christmas Eve, the night before Christmas, this is the moments before disaster. Then McGuire sings, "Don't you understand what I'm trying to say? Can't you see the fear that I'm feeling today?" This emphasizes widespread anxiety in this moment. Also at this time, there was fear of nuclear war, and one of his lines says, "If the button is pushed, there's no running away, and there'll be no one to save with the world in a grave." This conflict could wipe out humanity. Families were being pulled apart by young boys being drafted, but that won't matter if the whole world is destroyed during a nuclear war. Next, McGuire expresses distress with the line, "My blood so mad feels like coagulation," which uses the imagery of blood clotting to illustrate feelings of distress and danger. When your blood coagulates, it changes from liquid to gel to stop bleeding. Otherwise, we could all die from blood loss from something as simple as a paper cut. He's saying he feels like he needs to prepare for distress, just like our blood reacts when we get a cut. Then he continues, "You can't twist the truth, it knows no regulation," saying that even though the words in this song might feel harsh, they're true and they need to be said. Next, he criticizes political inaction, saying, "And a handful of senators don't pass legislation," saying that only a few lawmakers of the time were actually willing to make laws that would create meaningful changes for our country. It goes along with the next line, "Marches alone can't bring integration." To me, this means even though the protests and marches are important, without legislative action behind them, they do us no good. Then McGuire draws attention to decay of human respect, describing how our world is confusing and upsetting and annoying. He compares the hate in Red China during its Cultural Revolution to the civil rights struggles in Selma, Alabama, highlighting the conflict and social unrest of the time. He says, "You may leave here for 4 days in space, but when you return, it's the same old place." This is highlighting that Even if we were able to escape temporarily, when we would come back or circumstances were changed, we would still face the same underlying issues, no matter the time. Next, the song captures how someone can feel national pride and disgrace at the same time. He says, "The pounding of the drums, the pride and disgrace." This symbolizes our patriotism and pride for our country, because we're America, while also talking about the shame we could feel caused by our violence and injustice. Next, he sings, "You can bury your dead, but don't leave a trace." To me, this means people were trying to hide their pain and their problems, but underneath, the scars are all still there. This is a skewed image to me because people think that they can cover up the bad, but in the end, it's still there. There's still an underlying issue. The line, "Hate your next door neighbor, but don't forget to say grace," underscores the irony. Families fighting each other, but still trying to stay righteous. This highlights all the moral contradictions of this era. Eve of Destruction was so controversial because it released a bunch of truths of the time that people didn't want to hear. It criticized government policies pertaining to the Vietnam War, nuclear threats, racial injustice, and political corruption. The tone is extremely confrontational. The listeners left feeling fearful in some circumstances. The lyrics were provocative, and this is why it was banned on some radio stations. It led to debate, free speech, and questions about society. Today, Eve of Destruction is not considered controversial, but there was a time when it was a groundbreaking piece of music and served as a wake-up call to listeners. This song called them to face our current societal problems instead of putting them off. It was so important in its time, and it helped people become aware and spark action, which shaped the future of that time, or in other words, our present today. Thank you.